The Congress is investigating Harry Roque's involvement in the POGO operation and his connections to POGO-related companies. There are serious concerns about his unexplained wealth, which may be directly linked to POGO activities. Roque denies involvement with POGO and claims that his wealth comes from selling family land. Recently, property owned by Roque was raided, leading to the apprehension of 2 Chinese nationals involved in an illicit POGO operation. It has also been revealed that Roque actively supported raided POGO in Porac, Pampanga. Discover the complete stories in this captivating video.
Illegal Chinese who are operating the POGOs, 200 lang ang na-apprehend, and 1,000 have escaped. And we need really to take seriously on the order of the President dahil 6 months lang. As a matter of fact, baka less than 6 months po. December, kailangan wala na po talaga lahat yung illegal POGOs. And that's the reason why, siguro Mr. Chairman, our first resource persons who have been invited, can we invite us the former Secretary Harry Roque, to sit on the right side of our hall?
Kayo po ba ay may pamilya?
Meron po.
Maari niyo po bang banggitin ang pangalan ng inyong asawa?
Si Myla Roque po.
And I understand, Attorney Harry Roque, that your wife, Myla Roque, is likewise a government employee. Do you confirm?
Former. She no longer is.
She used to be a government employee.
Yes, ma'am.
May we be enlightened, Attorney Roque? Saan po ba siya nagtrabaho before?
Well, let me correct, ma'am, your statement that she was a government employee. She was not, because she was a private representative to the Board of Trustees of the Pag-ibig Fund.
Nevertheless, Attorney Roque, as private representative of Pag-ibig Board of Trustee, what benefits or allowances does she receive?
She gets per diem, per hearing.
Per diem per hearing.
Per meeting, I should
Per
say.
meeting.
Your Honor. Yes,
And
Your
may
Honor.
we be enlightened, kailan po ba siya na-appoint as private representative dito sa Pag-ibig Board of Trustees?
If I'm not mistaken, it was around 2017.
2017?
If I'm not mistaken po.
When did it end, Attorney Roque?
It ended, if I'm not mistaken, 2022 or 23, Your Honor. I cannot remember exactly.
2022 and 2023. And you will agree with me that during the time of the appointment of your wife as private representative of Pag-ibig Board of Trustee, the President was then President Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Yes, Your Honor, Madam, Mr. Chair.
How about you, Attorney Roque? Did you get any government appointment during those times?
I was a member of the 17th Congress from June of 2016 until November of 2017. From November of 2017 until October of 2018, I was presidential spokesperson, and I became presidential spokesperson again from April 2020 until November of 2021.
May we know, Attorney Roque, let's go back to your wife. Magkano po ba yung tinatanggap niyang per diem per meeting?
Hindi ko po talaga alam kasi hindi namin pinag-uusapan yan, but it was a very modest sum.
And with reference to your engagement in the government, 2017, 17 Congress, may we know how much your salary is as member of the House during that time?
I do not recall, but I still have colleagues from the 17th Congress here. So I think it was, I cannot remember the exact amount, but it was, I don't know, maybe 200, 300,000. I don't know, 200,000 po, no? 200,000 a month.
And you likewise mentioned about your appointment as the presidential spokesperson. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Can you please enlighten us? How much was your salary as presidential spokesperson?
Almost the same because it was the same salary grade as a congressman.
When was this holding company incorporated, Attorney Roque?
As early as 2015, before there was POGO, I believe, it was already
2015.
founded. Yes, Your Honor.
And during that time, can you please enlighten us, sino po ba ang mga incorporators, first incorporators of Biancham Holdings and Trading?
That's myself, my wife, my then law partner Joel Butuyan, Eileen Garcia, and one of my staff lawyers who has since passed, Jarmay Garcia.
Can you enlighten us further? Gaano ho ba kalaki ang inyong ownership dito sa Biancham Holdings and Trading, Attorney Roque?
It differed over the years, Mr. Chair, because it started as a small company. It was amended once, and
Mr. Chair, can we please direct our resource speaker to limit his answers to the questions which are being propounded? If
Mr.
I may
Chair.
proceed, Mr. Chair, would you confirm, Attorney Roque, that at the time of the incorporation of Biancham Holdings and Trading, you were holding 49.96% ownership, while your wife, Myla, is holding 49.96% ownership? Do you confirm?
if that is what appears in records, I confirm that, Mr. Chair, but I do not have a copy of the records before me right now.
In other words, Mr. Chair, the remaining 0.8% is the ownership which are being shared by Joel Butuyan, Zarmay Garcia, and Eileen Garcia. And it was mentioned earlier by our resource speaker that all these incorporators were his associates, either in Batuyan and Rael, and in Center Law. Do you confirm?
I confirm that, Mr. Chair. It is a family corporation with my close associates as nominal stockholders to complete the 5 shareholders that were then required by the old corporation code. It is no longer required to have 5.
How do you describe the nature of this ownership when it is only 0.8% being shared by 3? Because, to my opinion, they are nominal, if not dummy.
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, they're not dummies. I think the correct term is they are nominal shareholder. They hold qualifying shares so that we can complete the minimum 5 members of the board and incorporators that was then required by the old corporation code.
This
no longer
representation,
required.
Mr. Chair, take notice of the answer of the resource speaker. And do you confirm as well that from 2014 to 2020, you were the president of Biancham?
If that is what the records indicate, I do not have the records before me, but I will confirm if that is what appears in the Securities and Exchange Commission. Yes.
It does, Mr. Chair. And do you confirm as well that your wife, Myla, was a member of the board of director of Biancham from 2014 to 2020 as well?
I confirm that, Mr. Chair, because that is the nature of the 5 incorporators and the requirement of 5 directors as well.
And do you confirm as well that as the president, a calibrated lawyer, a prominent personality in the legal circle, of course, it is a common knowledge that yearly the company or the corporation is required to file an audited financial statement? Does our resource speaker confirm?
I confirm that, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, may I request our Secretariat to please flash in our screen the 2014. And I am requesting that the page of assets be flashed in the screen. This is 2014 in the total amount of 125,300 pesos. And then, Mr. Chair, I wish to invite as well the attention of the public, especially the Quad, to the 2015 audited financial statement of Biancham. Noticeably, the cash increased from 125,000 from 2014 to 3,125,300 pesos in 2015. I wish to take note, Mr. Chair, 2014 and 2015 were prior to the administration of former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Having seen 2014 and 2015 assets of Biancham, kindly flash the 2018 assets of Biancham Holdings.
Could you please plus the 2018 audited financial statement of 2018?
For the information of the committee, Mr. Chair, from 125,000 in 2014 to 3 million in 2015, the cash or the current assets skyrocketed in 2018 to 67,775,800 pesos. With all due respect, Attorney Roque, saan po nanggaling itong napakalaking perang ito? Please enlighten us.
Nagbenta po ang pamilya ko ng isang 1.8 hectares na lupa sa multinational village, Parañaque. We sold it to the Velarde Group. In turn, the Velarde Group swapped it to the SM Group. And our 1.8 hectares now is where the SM warehouse is located.
And can you please enlighten us, magkano po ba ang pinagbentahan nyo ng property na nabanggit ninyo?
I do not remember the exact amount, but it is roughly for the 1.8 hectares, 216 million, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, in line with the answer of the resource speaker, I respectfully move that we be provided with a copy of the sale document, the deed of sale of the property that was mentioned by our resource speaker. I understand as well that in view of your appointment as presidential spokesperson, you are likewise bound by Republic Act number 6713. That is the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials and Employees. May I ask our resource speaker, ito po bang 67,775,800 pesos? Did you disclose this in your statement of asset and liabilities and net worth?
I remember I declared cash of 60 million, Mr. Chair, in my SALN.
What explains the disparity? Why not declare the 67 million instead of 60 million cash only?
Because I did not have 67 million in cash at that point in time, Mr. Chairman. I had other assets, but the cash was 60 million at the time when I last filed my SALN as presidential spokesperson, Mr. Chair.
Nonetheless, Mr. Chair, the document reflects the amount of 67,775,800 pesos. This is contained in the 2018 audited financial statement of Biancham as of 2018. And if I may share, Mr. Chair, Section 2, Rule 130 of the Rules of Court, documentary evidence. Documents as evidence consist of writings, recordings, photographs, or any material containing letters, words, sounds, numbers, figures, symbols, or their equivalent, or other modes of written expression offered as proof of their contents. Photographs include still pictures, drawings, stored images, X-ray films, motion pictures, or videos. This representation, Mr. Chair, wish to manifest that we are establishing the amount contained in the audited financial statement, which has disparity to the amount that was disclosed as represented by the resource speaker in his SAL-N for 2018. Mr. Chair, if I may continue, for the information of the Filipino people, I wish to share Section 8, Republic Act Number 6713. This is the Code of Conduct of Ethical Standards for Public Officials and Employees. It states that a public official statement of assets and liabilities, or SAL-N, includes, among others, all other assets such as investments, cash on hand, or in banks, stocks, bonds, and the like. And I maintain, Mr. Chair, whatever is reflected in the audited financial statement should have been declared in exact amount in the SAL-N of the resource speaker. If I may continue, Mr. Chair, Republic Act Number 3019, Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, Section 7, Statement of Assets and Liabilities. Every public officer within 30 days after the approval of this act, or after assuming office, or within the month of January of every other year thereafter, as well as upon the expiration of his term of office, or upon his resignation or separation from office, shall prepare and file with the office of the corresponding department head, or in the case of head of department or chief of an independent office of the President, or in the case of members of the Congress and the officials and employees thereof, with the office of the Secretary of the corresponding House, a true, detailed, and sworn statement of assets and liabilities, including a statement of the amounts and sources of his income, the amounts of his personal and family expenses, and the amount of income taxes paid for the next preceding calendar year, provided that public officers assuming office less than 2 months before the end of the calendar year may file these statements in the following months of January. Given these legal provisions, Mr. Chair, both 3019 and 6713, may we ask the resource speaker, did you strictly comply with the requirements of these laws?
Mr. Chair, to the best of my abilities, yes, because my last net worth that I declared was 124 million pesos.
In line with that, Mr. Chair, I respectfully move that we direct the resource speaker to submit his SAL-N from 2016 until 2022 as described and required by Section 7 of the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, Mr. Chair. So moved.
Please, Attorney Roque, submit your SAL-N since 2016 to 2022.
I will comply, Your Honor, and will even submit earlier SAL-Ns which are filed with the House of Representatives.
Proceeding to my second point, Mr. Chair, I wish to invite the attention of the resource speaker to the 2 versions of his or Biancham's General Information Sheet. And may I request the Secretariat to once again share these 2 documents to the public. We have one GIS. This is dated March 2, 2020. And another GIS dated October 21, 2020. If we will compare, Mr. Chair, in March 2020, you still see the name Herminio Harry L. Roque Jr., who owns 98%, and Myla Roque, who owns 21%. However, Mr. Chair, with the GIS of Biancham in October 2020, The names of Harry Roque and Myla Roque are no longer in the stockholders' information. And I wish to invite the attention of the Quadcom that a certain Percival Ortega, per October 2020 GIS, is now the owner of 99.99% ownership of Biancham Holdings. Can we request the resource speaker to enlighten us on this?
Yes, Mr. Chair. We invested proceeds from the sale of our Parañaque property, the 1.8 hectares, into a real estate project in Bataan, in a corporation known as First Bataan. Now, in that investment, bulk of the cash that we used belonged to an old maid aunt who was living with me, who was also my ward. It was with her consent, although I was officially appointed her guardian, because she believed that when we sold the 1.8 hectares in Parañaque, we should buy land elsewhere, because that is what my grandfather specifically instructed her. So bulk of what we used to purchase the land in Bataan came from my aunt, her share in the sale of the 1.8 hectares in Parañaque, whereas my siblings and I invested our proceeds from our share from our mother's side in the same project. Now, at that time, we had to reflect more or less the true ownership of the property because my aunt would want that already. No? So what we did was we hired one of my friends, one of my lawyer friends who knew everyone, who knew my aunt, who was a retired judge, who knew my brothers and sisters, who knew me, to act as trustee because we were in the process of allocating the correct amount of shares for everyone. Because what happened was when the Parañaque sale happened, two of my siblings did not join us in the investment. So we had to reflect, we have to put it first in the name of a lawyer in trust as we arrange eventually how the property will be divided amongst us. No? Unfortunately, my aunt has since died, and we are now in the process of settling her estate. And so Attorney Ortega stands as trustee representing the estate of my aunt. And that is why there had to be a reorganization which will also have to await final resolution upon approval of my aunt's estate, which is actually judicial because my aunt left a will.
Mr. Chair, I wish to invite the attention of our resource speaker to these two documents, notwithstanding the fact that there was a trust agreement between Percival Ortega and Attorney Harry Roque, notwithstanding the fact about the agreement among the family. May I know what mode of transfer was used for the spouses Roque to be able to transfer it to the name of Percival Ortega?
In the form of a trust, all of us executed trust agreements to Percival Ortega because he will be eventually the one to divide amongst us the property, also pursuant to what the judgment of the estate court will adjudge.
May we direct the resource speaker, Mr. Chair, that we be furnished with a copy of this trust agreement?
Mr. Chair, with all due respects, this is a legislative inquiry on POGOs.
That we provided with the mode or the instrument that was used in the transfer of the shareholdings from spouses Roque to Attorney Percival Ortega. I wish to go back to our previous committee hearings, Mr. Chair. We have established a number of circumstantial evidence already, which, when taken together, will lead to one reasonable conclusion that our resource speaker has connection to Lucky South 99. At first, I was surprised by the sudden increase of the assets of Biancham that is coming from 125,000 to 3 million, and then in 2018 to 67 million. And now, Mr. Chair, we have seen a sudden change in the name of the shareholder or the stockholder of Biancham, formerly from spouses Roque and now to Attorney Percival Ortega. I wish to rule out, to verify, ito po bang mga movement ng pera na ito? After all, he is the one who mentioned na hindi ito galing sa POGO. Let the Quad verify kung saan nga nanggaling ang mga perang ito, Mr. Chair.
Attorney Roque, the Congresswoman Luistro has stated the reason why the document that she is asking from your end is necessary in the investigation that the Quadcom is conducting. With respect, of course, to the funds that are in question, the committee should be convinced, following the questions raised by Congresswoman Luistro, the committee must be convinced that indeed the proceeds of the sale of your property is the one that is now being reflected as the assets of the Biancham Corporation. So I would ask our resource persons to please comply with the request of Congresswoman Jinky Luistro.
And if these are the cases or the modes that which were adopted by Biancham, I believe that there is an obligation to pay the necessary taxes for the transfer.
Attorney Roque, with regard to Biancham, as a former chairman and president of Biancham, and of course, a very known lawyer, are you familiar with its subsidiaries?
Wholly owned corporations by an existing corporation, Mr. Chair.
Are you familiar with the subsidiaries of Biancham?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I am familiar with subsidiaries of Biancham.
What are these subsidiaries?
I have PH2, which is wholly owned by Biancham. There's another one, Lat something, which is also a holding corporation for another real estate company.
Let's show on the GIS on 2020 the subsidiaries. As stated in the GIS. Can we show it, please? So do you have 4 subsidiaries?
Yes, Madam, Mr. Chair.
That's PH2, Lot, First Bataan, Mariveles Power, and Block 19 in Pine Woods Village. So, since PH2, Lot 37, Pine Woods is subsidiary, I'm sure you're familiar with PH2, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And you confirm that Biancham currently owns 99.9% of PH2, and even in 2018 it was 95%, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
In fact, in 2018, you were a shareholder, the resource person was a shareholder of PH2.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And at one point, even the chairman and president of PH2.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And this attorney Ortega, who acquired, now owns 99% of Biancham, was also a shareholder of PH2, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
In fact, he was a director, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And you confirm that at one point, as stated in the 2022 GIS, a certain attorney Gonzalez became a shareholder of PH2 as well.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So these are the breakdowns of Biancham's incorporators in 2014, PH2 stockholders in 2018, and Biancham's first GIS and amended GIS in 2022. So essentially, in Biancham, in 2014, you owned 49.96%. In March 2020, you owned 98%, and just in 7 months, it was Attorney Ortega who owned 99% of Biancham.
By virtue of a trust agreement, Mr. Chair.
Currently, and PH2 stockholders in 2019, Biancham Trading owns 95%, This was in 2018 GIS as reflected. You own 1%. Attorney Ortega owns 1%. And Attorney Gonzalez later on owned stocks in PH2. Is this correct?
That is what the record says, Mr. Chair, yes.
So essentially, the shareholders of PH2 and Biancham are almost the same.
It is 100% owned, Mr. Chair, by Biancham, except for the nominal shareholders to complete the minimum of 5 incorporators and directors, which was then required by the Corporation Code.
So the resource person is saying it's essentially owned, Mr. Chair. Let's just put that in record. Currently, Mr. Percival Ortega, as established earlier, has a 99% share in Biancham. So he is the current chairman and president. This is correct.
He holds almost all the shares now in trust in behalf of all the families subject to our settlement, Your Honor.
And one of the shareholders is also a certain Attorney Butuyan.
Yes, he was my
Yuan.
law partner for 30 years or so.
So you, Attorney Butuyan, and Attorney Ortega, what is your relationship with each other? Were you classmates, all partners?
Yes, we are all classmates, and that is why the family trusted Attorney Percival Ortega to take care of the interests of everyone.
Would you know if there are other companies wherein Attorney Ortega is the chairman and president of?
I know he sits in some other companies.
And who is reflective of the true beneficial owner of Biancham?
I'm sorry,
The
Mr. Chairman?
true and beneficial owner of Biancham.
It is my family now. Actually, the biggest shareholder of Biancham now is my aunt, who invested the most in the real estate project in Bataan. But as I said, my aunt had just passed.
The biggest shareholder, even
She is, because she invested the biggest amount of money in the real estate transaction.
So her name would be reflected on the beneficial owner form in the SEC documents.
Not yet, because in the beginning, she made me sign a loan agreement, and then later on, she changed her mind that it will be hers. She changes, so I just
Not
comply.
yet. So meaning, or currently, you're the beneficial owner.
Well, in our trust
Yes or
agreement,
no lang, Mr. Chair?
no, Your Honor. Right now, the beneficial owner is still the estate of my aunt, who owns the biggest share in the land transaction in Bataan.
Mr. Chair, since the beneficial ownership form is submitted naman to the SEC, may we require that the beneficial ownership form be submitted to the committee?
I am not aware, Mr. Chair, if we submitted one, in fact, because it is just a trust agreement amongst family members.
This is a requirement under the SEC. You're a very competent lawyer. You're not aware, and were you not the president? So you do not know the submissions?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm not a specialist in corporation law. That's why I have to hire
But
other
you were
lawyers.
the former president and chairman of Biancham.
Yes, Mr.
And you
Chair,
were not aware
but
of the submissions?
it's a dormant company for all intents and purposes. I am not a specialist in corporation law.
It's a dormant corporation right now. How so?
It's a holding corporation because it only owns title to raw land. It has no commercial activity other than holding title to raw land currently.
So, Mr. Chair, may I move to get the beneficial ownership form, if there is, from the SEC or from Mr. Roque if he finds out?
Mr. Chair, I'm not aware I actually filed because this was 2020. But if we need to file belatedly, we will file belatedly. But right now, I am not aware if we in fact filed that with the SEC, in all honesty.
And earlier, the transfer of the shares of stock to Attorney Ortega was through what mode?
It is a trust agreement whereby he agreed to be a trustee for everyone in my family.
And you have a copy of that trust?
I committed to submit a copy already of the trust agreement.
And
All-
currently, are you in the process of buying back or any plans to buy back your shares in Biancham?
Yes, we are in the process of finalizing so that I can buy back shares not in Biancham anymore, because pursuant to our reorganization, Your Honor, that is what I meant, Mr. Chair, that it has become too personal. It has nothing to do with POGO, but I will continue. Pursuant to our plans, we are segregating now assets which my wife acquired during our marriage and assets which I co-own with my relatives, siblings, including my aunt. So we have formed a new company. It has just been formed
Mr. Chair, I was just
recently.
simply asking if he is in the process of buying back shares in Biancham. I'm not asking for his history or what his plans in life.
We are in the process, Your Honor, of me relinquishing all shares to Biancham.
Okay. Can we move on to another subsidiary, another subsidiary? First, Bataan Mariveles Holding Corp. In 2017, you were a stockholder of Biancham, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
In fact, you were the president, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And you were also a board member.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So you will be aware of the transactions entered into by Biancham, correct?
Not Biancham.
Sorry,
Are we talking of First Bataan,
First Bataan,
Mr.
First
Chair?
Bataan.
Yes,
First Bataan.
well, insofar as it is engaged in land banking, yes, I was aware of the land banking activities of the company because that's the only thing it has been doing.
But as well as the Biancham activities, since you were also the president during that time.
There was no commercial activity, Mr. Chair, for Biancham because Biancham merely invested in the land banking activity of First Bataan because
And-
the family investment is under the name of Biancham in First Bataan.
So this investment that you're stating in 2017, is that the reason why there was a subscribed and paid share of 35,347 shares in the amount of 35,347,000?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that was the initial capital contribution of my family in the land banking activity.
And in the AFS in 2017 of Bianchan, there's a net loss of 254,347 with assets of 1.5 million in cash with no liabilities. So paano nagkaroon ng purchase?
It was in the form of, as I mentioned earlier, in the beginning, my aunt treated it as an extension of a loan. So it was an advance from my aunt, which I thought would redound already to my name. But in the end, she said, no, until you actually pay me, it will still be mine. So
Mr. Chair.
these were in the forms of cash advances to purchase the land.
Mr. Chair, may I move that we get a copy of this loan agreement because we are
Oh.
circling back to this loan from the aunt, which, well, she's not here anymore.
She's not here anymore.
She has passed,
And
so we cannot obviously ask
and
questions.
the loan was not in writing, but it was recognized in my SALN as an obligation to
How
my aunt.
convenient that the loan was not in writing, Mr. Chair, and going back to a loan agreement, and we can't even know if the loan agreement really did exist between two persons when the other person is not here. So we're just going to rely basically on a loan agreement you're stating, going back to this by your own word.
Well, Mr. Chair, I guess we go back again to the sale of our real estate property in 2017 and the fact that we started investing in Bataan in 2018. So it was really in conforme with instructions of my grandfather, when you sell some of my land, you buy new land.
Mr. Chair, so we go back to this whole thing. No, we'll just look at Biancham being a stockholder again of FBMHC, First Bataan. And alarmingly, this was it was paid at 35 million. And at this time in 2017, what was your job at that time? If you can repeat.
I was presidential spokesperson from, I was congressman from June 2016 until November of 2017.
And essentially, if we look at the table of the First Bataan, again, Biancham holds about 49.99% of First Bataan.
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
And the other major, can we show the table, please? Let's go to the PH, let's go back to PH2. In PH2, there's a house in Tuba, Benguet, correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
And you're, again, we established you're incorporator of PH2. And you were, in fact, a president for a couple of years of PH2 in 2017 and even in 2018, correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
And this was the time that you were also the presidential spokesperson.
What year again, Mr. Chair? Because I have to verify.
2017, latter, you said, of 2017 and even in 2018, correct?
Yes, yes, Mr. Chair.
And you know that as a president and member of the board of PH2, then you have to review contracts and you would know transactions. As a lawyer, you would do your due diligence naman kahit papano.
Well, yes, we read contracts. Yes, Mr. Chair, we do.
And in this house, you were living for a while in
Yes,
Tuba, right?
from 2019.
And this house is essentially, you were leasing this house. PH2 was leasing this house, correct?
In the beginning, no. I lived there while recovering from.
Mr. Chair, we're just, if we're not asking in the beginning, is it sometime it was being leased to someone?
Yes, it was leased at some point after I resumed my obligations or my work as presidential spokesperson in 2020 April.
Kindly wrap up,
Yeah.
Congresswoman Nograles.
So, are you familiar, of course, with a certain Wan Yun?
With a
One certain name of individual called
yes,
named Wan Yun,
she was a lessee.
and a person of interest in the investigations of Lucky South 99.
My lessee who signed the contract was not a person of interest. It was another person who became a person of
Who is
interest.
this person?
I do not know the name.
So you
Because,
did not do due diligence on the subleasing of your supposed lessee?
I was not aware that that person was there. I did my due diligence. In fact, it was a very long time before we agreed.
If you did your due
to lease
diligence,
that house.
why did you not find out who was leasing that certain property?
Because I only studied the person who wanted to lease it, and that was the person who signed
So
the
you
lease
were not
contract.
aware that he was subleasing it to a certain Sun Liming.
He was not. I was not aware. It was not allowed.
But are you familiar with Sun Liming?
No.
Sun Liming, it's in the news naman. He is currently in the Interpol red notice. So he was the one, and he said that he is leasing this house there. And you were not aware at all?
No, I was not, because my lessee was a different person. He was a lady who was a single lady, because we asked her to submit her ACR to prove that she was in compliance and she was not an illegal alien and that she had an NBI clearance as well.
Okay. And in 2020, again, you were no longer a stockholder of PH2, and at the same period, no longer a stockholder of Biancham, correct?
Yes, that is a result, Mr. Chair, of our reorganization arising from my wife's insistence that she did not want to be involved in any of my business undertakings anymore because she could not stand the lies that was printed by a tabloid online.
So in summary lang, Mr. Chair, I would just like to show a summary of maybe the ownerships that we've established today on Biancham Holdings and Trading. If we can show the last slide, please. So we have Biancham Holdings and Tradings that we've seen the connection with PH2 Lot 37, which Biancham owns 99.99% of that. Na ito nga yung bahay na in Tuba, Benguet, where we see it was leased to Wan Yun, who apparently subleased this to Sun Liming. We're both connected with POGOs. We also have the connection with First Bataan, Mariveles Holdings Corporation, which you said that there's this land nga in Mariveles, that even if you are saying BPO siya, BPO can actually be a term naman na POGO operations pa rin naman to, which is why we are investigating on these illegal POGOs and these illegal businesses running in the guise of a legal corporation or legal operations when hindi naman pala.
Ang isa ho sa topic na ating inimbestigahan dito ay yung land acquisitions ng mga Chinese citizens, no? And because of the thousands of hectares that they've acquired in the country, there seems to be some sort of a pattern, no? Kaya pagka may ganyang kalaking mga lupang binibili, it actually begs the question of ano yung purpose nitong mga lupang ito. Now, dahil sa atin ay maraming pumapasok na mga Chinese namimili ng lupa at ginagamit sa mga illegal na POGO, so that perhaps is the reason why questions being propounded by the members of the committee direct towards that particular information. And of course, we do expect that the resource person will cooperate with respect to the documents that they are requiring from your end, Attorney Harry.
Cassandra Ong is already now part of Whirlwind Company, previously from the Lucky South 99. So you confirm, Mr. Chair, that Cassandra Ong is also one of the witnesses whose signatures are fixed in the petition?
I am not aware, as of time of filing of the petition, of the contents of the sublease agreement between Whirlwind and Lucky South because it was not material to the ejectment case.
No, I'm asking, Mr. Chair, I'm just citing you the date because at this point in time, when you filed the petition, Cassie Ong, which one of your whose signatures are fixed in the petition, was already part of the Whirlwind Company and previously was part of the Lucky South 99. Now, I do not need your confirmation in this because I have my documents here. I want you to ask a question. Very simple lang po, Mr. Secretary, because I know you're one of the attorneys and, due diligence, I'm really, I would really believe that you really done your homework and you really gone through all these details, Mr. Chair. So, you confirm that Cassie Ong was one of the witnesses in the filing of this petition?
She signed and verified the petition as corporate secretary of Whirlwind.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
we confirm that.
We're on the same length. This is the same Cassie Ong, Mr. Chair, that is now being detained by the Indonesian immigration, Mr. Chair, a couple of days ago, fled the country with the former mayor, Bambam Mayor, Alice Guo, Mr. Chair, whose investigation by the Senate is also ongoing. So this is the same Cassie Ong, Cassandra Ong we're talking here, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
No, I just, I don't,
Yes,
that was not the question.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. Secretary. That was just an information that I want to share to the public. Now, also in the same petition, you also have Ms. Ronaldin Baterna as witness. Am I correct?
I do not recall who the witnesses were included, no? But all the witnesses had to execute affidavits. But the truth of the matter is I was not personally the one who drafted the petition. I read the petition, I signed it, I was responsible for the theory, but I'm not aware of all the evidence that were appended to it. I did not take any statement from any witness, and I signed the pleading after it was prepared, and after it had been verified by the not plaintiff, but by the petitioner.
Well, so that's so unfortunate, Mr. Chair, because earlier I was asking you about just an administrative processes of filing a cases, and you have even enlightened me that there must be a truthfulness in the
Yes.
petition, that everything it's been filed in good faith, and it also be supported by, according to you, not the word is not really evidence, but the regular. You have the witnesses and the lawyers. I'm confused, Mr. Secretary, because you didn't know that Ronaldin Baterna, who at this point in time is now the corporate secretary of Lucky South 99, also is one of your witnesses that you yourself have filed and signed part of the petition, Mr. Chair. So, nandito po siya. Kaya nga po nagtataka bakit hindi niyo po alam. Yes, please.
I do not know what other titles she had. But as a lawyer, we prepared the affidavit for the witnesses. They affirmed their affiliation. And if they lied under oath, that is their lookout.
Yeah,
it is not the responsibility of the lawyer to make sure that everything that the witness says in a sworn statement is the truth, because we only warn them you could be persecuted for perjury if you include a falsity.
Okay,
Mr.
so
Chair.
I give you that, Mr. Chair, Attorney, because hindi naman lahat tayo ay nare-remember po natin yung mga nakaraan, di ba? Alam ko ho, ang dami niyo pong talagang mga kliyente, kasi sa galing niyo pong abogado, talagang pupuntahan ho kayo ng mga tao. So, I give you that, I give you that, Mr. I give you that po, Chairman, Attorney Roque, that you may forgot that Ms. Ronalyn Baterna is one of the witnesses whose signature is affixed in the petition that you filed before the Supreme Court. Before that's now pending in the Court of Appeals. Na kayo po yung you are representing Whirlwind Company, no?
Yes.
Andito po sa akin. You don't need to.
She signed po as a Whirlwind employee.
So what confuses me still, Secretary Roque, is that at this point in time, going back to your previous statements, and you said you had nothing to do with Lucky South 99, hindi ho ba? Tama po ba yun? Yeah.
Yes, I have nothing to do with Lucky South 99.
Okay. And that you were representing only Whirlwind Company, no?
Yes, Mr. Chair, only Whirlwind because the case involves only Whirlwind Company.
Yes, and the Whirlwind Company is material yung filing of the cases because it involves also the lessor and the lessee, in this case, Lucky South 99. And
No, Mr. Chair, I'm
like
sorry, as an issue of law.
Mr. Chair, just
Mr. Chairman,
let's
just,
lay down.
Yes, I apologize.
No, you stop talking. Just to remind you again, this will be your last warning. Please don't speak unless otherwise you're recognized by the chair.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Roque.
What is confusing?
And may I also remind our resource persons to please, when you reply to a question propounded by a member of the committee, please address the chair.
Thank you. So what is confusing to me, Mr. Chair, up to this point, is that Ms. Ronalyn Baterna is, according to the petition, is an employee of the petitioner and an executive assistant of Catherine Cassandra L. Ong. So that this is to me, Mr. Chair, I don't know with Secretary Roque because he seems to be forgetting all of the details that are important in filing in the filing of this case, ejection case. Catherine Ronalyn Baterna, who now, this is 2023, is now the part of Lucky South 99, also signed as a witness as an executive assistant of Miss Catherine Ong, which, if we follow the sublist date signed between Lucky South 99 and Whirlwind Company, si Miss Cassandra Ong is nasa Whirlwind Company na. So bakit ang tanong po, ang ordinaryo na tao, maganda ho dahil hindi ako abogado, Attorney Roque, kanina nakikinig po ako sa mga tanong ni Congresswoman Luisto at saka Congressman Mig Nograles. Medyo nawawala din ho ako. Buti na lang hindi ako abogado, but I'd just like to find out that why on earth you keep on insisting that you have nothing to do with Lucky South 99 when one of your witnesses is in fact, according to this record, truthfulness, sinabi according to the rules of court, is the executive assistant of Cassandra L. Ong. Yun lang po hindi ko maintindihan, no? Mr. Secretary. Now, it proves to say, and I don't know if you still could maintain your position that you have nothing to do with Lucky South 9. I'll give you that, no? I'll give you that. But the point that we want to arrive at, Mr. Chair, is that unang-una, Lucky South 99 and Whirlwind Company, as provided to us by several documents, the sublease, this petition, it only arrives into a conclusion which is very simple. Though they may be different entities, but they're run by the same people. We cannot deny and we cannot assail these documents, Mr. Chair. You know, the only way for us to move forward and move out from this labyrinth of lies and this cobweb of deception is to go back to the documents that we are in possession, Mr. Chair. So again, let me ask po, did you, Mr. Chair, did you know that Miss Catherine Ong, Ronelyn Baterna, who poses as part of the Lucky South 99, affixed her signature in the petition, claiming to be the executive assistant of Cassandra Ong, who is at this point in time is a member, is already now part with Whirlwind Company, which you represent.
What I know, Mr. Chair, is that this person who executed this affidavit claimed to be an employee of Whirlwind. And I had no indications to doubt her statement that she was an employee of Whirlwind, because at this point, the case was involving Cruz and Whirlwind and did not involve at all Lucky South. So I had no reason to inquire into Lucky South because Lucky South was not a party to the ejectment case.
Mr. Chair, I'll take your explanation as it is, no? But the reason why I'm bringing this up, Mr. Chair, because you've been filing cases before the Supreme Court in your seasoned lawyer, and if we follow back and if you go back to the previous pronouncements, which you even publicly said in most of your statements through media and in this forum, Mr. Chair, you've stated that you have nothing to do with Lucky South 99, and that in fact you said na mas gusto ko nga kinuha nila akong abogado eh. Kasi nung ni-raid sila, marami akong pupwedeng kasuhan sa kanila, 'di ba? And yet now, presented by all these evidences, are you telling me, Mr. Chair, that with all the experiences you had, you did not even bother, Mr. Chair, to ask whether this certain Ronelyn Baterna is not only part of the Lucky South Whirlwind Company, Lucky South 99, but in fact now is an executive assistant of Cassandra Ong, who, by the way, again, may reiterate, is under detention by the Indonesian immigration, trying to flee this country. Are you trying to tell me that, Mr. Chairman, Attorney Roque? Mataas po yung respeto ko sa inyo, wag niyo pababain.
Well, Mr. Chair, it was a sworn statement. As lawyers, we remind all parties making sworn statements that they could be criminally liable for any falsity. We cannot guarantee that witnesses who execute affidavits will in fact not lie. We can only warn them, and that is what we do as lawyers.
Okay, we can discuss here, Secretary Roque, until Judgment Day, but these documents will not deny the fact that Ms. Ronelyn Baterna is assigned by you as one of the lawyers, is the executive assistant of Cassandra Ong. So we have proven, Mr. Chair, based on these documents. I'm not basing anything from anybody or any opinion of any of these members of this committee. I am basing my judgment and my conclusion on the documents that I have in my possession. So if we follow the trail of all this possession of these documents, Mr. Chair, we've proven, number one, that Baterna is a corporate secretary of Lucky South 99. That she is both an employee of Whirlwind as well as the corporate secretary of Lucky South 99. You know, it's, to me, how can you enter into a sublease agreement when in fact you yourself, among you, you're the one calling the shots and you're running the affairs of all these two companies? You tell me, if you can give me that answer, then you're smarter than me. I mean, come on, let us not fool each other. Dalawang ano, tapos they're posing as, you know, as different, but and number 3, Mr. Chair, we have proven, Mr. Chair, that the subject of the indictment case is the same property subject to the sublease agreements between Lucky South and Whirlwind. May I ask, Mr. Chair, Secretary Roque po, would you, di ba sublease ho ito, no? So, ibig sabihin may mother lease po?
That was the subject of our litigation. That was
Okay.
the only relevant, Mr. Chair, to our litigation. The lease
You have-
contract between the owner of the property and Whirlwind.
Sige, would you know po, can we require, I mean, can we request kung meron pong yung mother lease agreement?
It is appended to the petition, and it's downloadable, Your Honor, from the Court of Appeals.
Okay, thank you for
website.
that, and thank you for that information. That makes our job a little easier. Thank you. Now, let me, Mr. Chair, may I proceed to Miss Ronalyn? Ma'am, taga Mindanao ka?
Yes po, Mr.
Bisaya,
Chair.
Bisaya?
Opo.
Ay, may ngapon.
Ngayapon po.
Asa ka sa Mindanao?
Sambuanga del Sur po.
Silingan ta. Silingan ta. Marawi ko. Anyway, sorry, that was Mr. Chair, Ms. Rosalyn, nirepresent mo ho ba ang Whirlwind Company? Kasama ho ba kayo sa nagpirma nung sa ejectment case na sinabi ko kanina?
Mr. Chair, yung pagiging corporate secretary ko po is
No.
papers lang.
Mayroon ho ako dito, pumirma po kayo dun sa ejectment case na ang petitioner ang Whirlwind Company. Tama po ba? Kasama po ba kayo dun sa mga witnesses na pumirma?
Hindi ko po maaalala, Mr. Chair, pero si Ms. Cassandra Ong po yung mga nagpapapirma sa akin ng mga dokumento.
So lahat ng pinipirmahan mo, hindi mo maalala at binibigay lang sa'yo, pinipirmahan mo?
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So marahil ay yung pinapirma sa'yo na sublease agreement, binigay rin sa inyo, no? Hindi mo rin alam, tapos pinirmahan mo?
Hindi po, binigay lang po at pilit pinapapirma.
Okay, pero nandun ka ha? Papakita ko sa'yo, nandito ka. Okay? Does not matter whether you accept or not, the fact is nandito yung pangalan mo. So, Miss Ronalyn, alam niyo ho ba na nung pumirma kayo nung sublease, second sublease agreement, ang dating address, ang address ng Whirlwind Company nung ang pumirma ay si Stephanie Macarenas ay nasa Thai Court, Pulong Maba, Porac, Pampanga. Tapos nung kayo ay pumirma ulit, ikaw na itong nagre-represent sa Lucky South 99 Outsourcing Incorporated na pinalitan mo sa pirma si Catherine Cassandra Ong na siya yung pumirma para sa Lucky South, this time sa Whirlwind, ay nag-iba din sila ng address at naging pareho na. Thai Court, Pulong Maba, Porac, Pampanga. Alam mo ba yon?
Hindi ko po alam, Mr. Chair.
Pero nakapirma ka pa rin.
Yes po, dahil pinapapirma po.
Okay. Di ba sabi mo po nung una kayong, nung last previous, nung previous hearing, ang trabaho mo talaga, hindi ka talaga corporate secretary, ang trabaho mo ay, ano ka? Ikaw ay yung nasa gate pass, yun ba yun?
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Magandang trabaho ba yun?
Yes po.
Masaya?
Nag-i-issue lang po ako ng gate pass, Mr. Chair.
Masaya? Masaya ka doon?
Sakto lang po.
Ha? So, nami-meet mo lahat ng pumapasok. Siyempre, hindi ka makakapasok kung wala kang gate pass, hindi ba?
Yung mga gate pass po na ini-issue ko, Mr. Chair, is halimbawa, may mga grocery po sila na gustong ipasok po sa loob. Parang i-issuean ko lang po para po may...
Pero lahat ng pumapasok po doon. Lahat ng pumapasok doon, binibigyan mo ng ng gate pass.
Yes po, Mr. Chair. Yung mga groceries lang po nila tsaka yung mga order ng mga Grab, mga ganun po.
Ilang gate ba ang meron doon? Malaki ba?
Dalawa po, Mr. Chair, yung alam ko kasi yung pinagjujutian ko, isang gate tapos isang gate pa.
Pero marami ho kayong nakikita mga tao dumadalaw sa Lucky South 99.
Marami po, Mr. Chair, mga sasakyan.
Mga sasakyan. Alam mo ba na in 2021, ang Whirlwind Company ay nag-move in sa Thai Court, Pulong Maba, Santa Cruz, Porac, Pampanga, at doon din po nag-uopisina ang Lucky South 99? I mean, ang Whirlwind Company?
Mr. Chair, 5 years po kasi akong nagtatrabaho sa Thai. Never po kaming lumipat ng
Hindi,
address.
ibig ko sabihin, ang lumipat pala, sorry ito, ang lumipat pala ay ang Whirlwind Company, iisang compound na sila. Tama ho ba yun?
Hindi ko po alam, Mr. Chair.
Hindi mo alam? Tapos ikaw nagbibigay ng ano? Mr. Chair, based on the sublease agreement, it is in fact proven that Whirlwind Company and Lucky South 99 shares the same compound, the same address. I think this is already in the possession of the committee and just trying to figure out and trying to test the memory of Miss Ronaldin Ong. Sa palagay ko, biktima ka eh. Alam ba yung ano nyo, yung boss mo nasa Indonesia, alam mo ba yon?
Hindi ko po alam, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Kilala ho nyo ba si Mr. Harry Roque?
Kilala ko po siya dahil sa politiko po.
Sa?
Dahil po politiko po siya dati.
Nakikita nyo po ba siya na bumisita sa compound ng Whirlwind?
Never po, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So nakita nyo po ba siya? Nung kayo po pumirma dito sa petition, sino pong pumirma? Sino pong kasama mo na pumirma at nandoon po ba yung mga abogado ng Whirlwind Company?
Binigay lang po ni Miss Cassandra Ong para po pirmahan ko, Mr. Chair.
So pinirmahan mo na wala yung mga abogado?
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So pero sinasabi po dito sa affidavit na ikaw ay parte ng Whirlwind Company nung pirmirman mo itong petition, pero isa ka daw corporate secretary ng executive assistant ni Cassandra Ong, pero at the same time corporate secretary ka ng Lucky South 99. So kung tulungan mo rin ako, Ms. Ronaldin, Mr. Chair, para maintindihan ko. Sa palagi mo ba, isa ang ang Whirlwind at saka Lucky South?
Hindi ko po alam, Mr. Chair.
Pero mukhang ganun no? Kasi ikaw ay nasa Whirlwind, ikaw ang nagpumirma dun sa dokumento nung nag-sublease agreement. Tapos yung sinasabi mo dito sa pirma mo dito sa petition na ito, na isa sa mga abogado ay si Attorney Harry Roque, na sabi mo nga, politiko siya, ibig sabihin, known siya, kilala mo siya, maski hindi mo siya nakita in person, pero kilala mo siya, magaling na abogado naman talaga yan, ay sinasabi mo dito sa petition nyo sa korte na ikaw ay executive assistant ni Cassandra Ong, na siya ngayon ang sa Whirlwind at ikaw sa Lucky South 99. Sa palagay mo ba pag ganun ang arrangement, anong sa palagay mo, turuan mo daw ako, dalawa ba talaga itong entity, mag-separate o isa lang?
Wala po akong idea sa mga ganyan, Mr. Chair, dahil lang po ako, normal na tao, pero palagay ko po, siguro po.
Anong siguro?
Siguro po ay isa.
Okay. Actually, pareho tayo na naiisip eh. Hindi rin ako abogado, ordinary din ako ng tao. Pero ginagamit ko yung common sense ko, hindi ho ba? So maganda dahil gumagamit ka ngayon ng common sense mo, natutulungan ka ng committee ito at makapag-reflect kung anong dapat mong sabihin at magsabi ng totoo.